Yeah, good evening one and all. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about the construction and operating features of various reactors. In that we have covered boiling water reactor, pressurized water reactor, sodium graphite reactor, fast breeder reactor. Of all these cases, each one is having its own advantages. One advantage with fast breeder reactor is we can reduce the rate of disposal of radioactive material into the environment. Here we can provide the lining of radioactive material inside the core as a reflector so that it can be converted into a readily fissile material. That means the charging of completely spent material can be done. Similarly, we can have sodium graphite reactor. The main advantage is the radioactivity associated with the working fluid is reduced by the time it reaches into the turbine. So we can provide radioactive shielding with minimum cost and with minimum thickness. This is one advantage. But coming to the pressurized water reactor, here the operating temperature and pressure are good, but the problem is we have to provide the radioactive shielding of some larger thickness. Because of that, the capital cost is increasing. Coming to boiling water reactor, here the coolant which we are circulating, that is water, it is converted into steam within the reactor or the core of the reactor, and the same is expanded directly in the turbine. So there is more chance for the leakage of radioactivity into the surroundings or environment. So this kind of arrangement requires a very good quality radioactive shielding. Otherwise, the operators as well as the surroundings will be completely contaminated. Next, we will discuss about another reactor, that is Candu reactor. Coming to the Candu reactor, its full form is Canadium Deuterium Uranium Reactor. It was developed by a company in Canada, and if you observe the abbreviation of the reactor, deuterium, uranium, here these two represents the materials which we are using inside the core of the reactor. Coming to the deuterium, it is used as a coolant as well as moderator and reflector also. Here we are taking it as deuterium oxide. We are also calling it as heavy water. In this reactor, the quality of deuterium oxide is nearly 99.8%. And coming to the flow or the movement of deuterium oxide, here we are saying that it is serving three purposes. One thing as a coolant, second one is moderator, and the third one is a reflector. In the earlier reactors, if there is a single fluid which is serving the purposes like this, like coolant cum moderator, there is a single fluid which can circulate throughout the core of the reactor. But here the moderator section and the coolant section are separated. So what we can do means the coolant section can be maintained under high pressure and the moderator section can be maintained at relatively low pressure. In such a case, the dimensions of the reactor can be reduced greatly. So first we will see how that kind of arrangement is provided. This is the arrangement of reactor core. Here we can see there are horizontal pipes. These pipes are called pressure pipes or pressure tubes. In these pressure tubes we can see light orange color pipes. These are indicated as fuel rods. So inside the pressure tubes there is a fuel rod, and these fuel rods are in general surrounded by the coolant, that is heavy water. The coolant is passing through the tube. it is getting the heat which was generated in the nuclear fission chain reaction, and it is coming out. At the right side we are having a header, that means where the hot heavy water coming out of the pressure tubes is collected and it is supplied to a heat exchanger. In the heat exchanger, the heavy water is losing the heat to the ordinary water which is coming from the condenser, that is feed water. So the feed water is gaining the heat inside the heat exchanger. It is converted into steam, and the steam is expanded in the steam turbine to produce power output. So after expansion, the wet steam is condensed in the condenser, and the obtained liquid water, that is feed water, it is supplied back to the heat exchanger with the help of a feed water pump. So up to here it is okay. Now coming to the heavy water, after rejecting the heat in the heat exchanger, the water is extracted out with the help of a heavy water pump, and now it is supplied back to the pressure tubes. So this is the flow path of coolant. Now during the fission reaction we are saying more amount of neutrons, protons, gamma rays will be generated, even X-rays also. We are saying these radiations are to be arrested so that they cannot enter into the atmosphere. So coming to the neutrons, their velocity is reduced by the circulation of heavy water. Here we can see there is a pinkish region which is surrounding the pressure tubes. This pinkish region is nothing but the portion filled with heavy water which is acting as moderator. So whatever the neutrons that are coming out, these neutrons will be slowed down by using the heavy water. So because of reduction in the velocity such that they are always maintained at velocities greater than 2150 meter per second, are made to bombard with the new radioactive fissile material which is available, that means produced in the earlier generation. Now this fission process continues. So there is a liberation of heat which is taken away by the coolant which is circulated inside the pressure tubes, and the neutrons are slowed down by the circulation of heavy water which is surrounding the pressure tubes. And here we can see there are some vertical lines indicated as control rods. These control rods are made of cadmium material. During the starting and shutting down of the nuclear reactor, the position of the control rods are varied. We have to remember, when the reactor is to be started, the control rods are pulled out. That means very small portion of control rod is inserted into the core of the reactor, because during the starting of the reactor we need more number of neutrons to initiate and sustain the reaction. So once the chain reaction is initiated and we have required number of neutrons to complete the chain reaction, now the control rods are dipped gradually into the core of the reactor. So if more amount of control rod is dipped, then more number of neutrons and other part of radiation will be absorbed by the control rod material. And we are also saying this deuterium oxide outside the pressure tubes will also act as the reflector. So the alpha particles or the protons or any gamma rays like that, once they leave the pressure tube, they will be reflected back onto the pressure tube itself. And here if you observe the dimensions, since everything is inserted within the shell, here we can see the shell is having nearly 8 meters in diameter and a length of 6 meters long, and each shell contains 380 pressure tubes. The diameter of the pressure tube will be very small, and in general the reactor will be loaded with natural uranium material which was cladded with or cladded inside the zirconium alloy tubes. So definitely they are able to sustain some higher temperature. And the fuel rod length is nearly 0.5 meters long, that means half the meter length, with diameter of 1.3 centimeters. So nearly 13 mm diameter and half meter length. Such kind of rods are taken such that each 37 rods are bundled to form a single bundle, and 12 such kind of bundles are inserted into the pressure tubes. So totally 12 bundles with each 37 fuel rods. So the number of fuel rods are 444 fuel rods which are inserted at a time into the reactor. These 444 fuel rods, they are weighing around 97,000 kg. That means we need very huge quantity of fuel which is inserted inside the core of the reactor. And one more thing we have to remember here, while you are shutting down the reactor, we have to bring the radiation to the lowest possible level. For that purpose, during the shutdown, they will spray gadolinium nitrate solution. So we can shut down the reactor at short span of time. And one more thing is, here when the water is passing through the pressure line, it is gaining the heat from fission reaction, and it is passing through the header on the right side. It is losing the heat to the ordinary water, and after losing the heat, the cold water is coming out. Sometimes when there is a reduction in the power to be produced, then more amount of heat could not be released back to the feed water because quantity of steam supplied to turbine will decrease. So proportionately what will happen means more amount of coolant will be passing through heavy water pump. Now in this pipeline we will spray the water so that the temperature of heavy water is reduced. By cooling this, it can be circulated back once again into the pressure tube. Otherwise the problem is, if without cooling the hot heavy water is circulated, that results in reduction in the gain of heat from the fission reaction. If less amount of heat is gained by the coolant, the surface temperature of fuel rod will increase, resulting in increase of pressure tube temperature. So this is to be avoided. For that purpose, we are providing the spray of water to reduce the temperature of hot heavy water. Next, we can see the moderator can be kept at low temperatures because the coolant is circulated separately than moderator. So both are traveling in different paths. In such a case, obviously the temperature of moderator will remain less. But in other reactors, it is not the case, except sodium graphite reactor. In the other cases, coolant is also acting as a moderator and a single fluid will be circulated in the same location. Because of that, the moderator temperature is also increasing. If moderator temperature increases, it cannot absorb or reduce the velocity of neutrons. So we have to keep it in the mind. If the temperature of moderator is less, effectiveness is more. If moderator temperature is high, effectiveness will be low. So moderator temperature is inversely proportional to its effectiveness. Next, here the heavy water is costly. That is one problem which we are observing here. And one more thing is the power density is also low when compared to other kind of reactors. So next one is gas cooled reactor. Coming to the gas cooled reactor, here we can use the coolant as either air, hydrogen or inert gas like helium. Even we can use carbon dioxide. Of all these gases, they have observed that carbon dioxide is more effective and it will reduce the chances of explosion also. So in most of the gas cooled reactors, carbon dioxide is used. And one problem with air is the specific heat is low when compared with other gases, and even the thermal conductivity is also less. So when the air is used as a coolant, the temperature of core of the reactor will increase to some higher value. So to reduce such kind of effect, more quantity of air is to be supplied. So the energy required to operate the blower also increases with air as the working fluid. And if you observe the construction, this is the core of the reactor, which is surrounded by a thick concrete shielding. Here you are having a blower which will circulate the gas through the core of the reactor. The red color bars indicate the fuel rods. The fuel used is uranium. Here we can see. And the moderator used is a graphite. So moderate can act as a good material so that it can absorb more of kinetic energy from the fast moving neutrons. So it can be used in the thermal reactors. By slowing down the neutron, it can send back the neutron to bombard with the existing fuel. So once again the chain reaction will continue. And in between the fuel rods, here we can see there is a passage. Through that passage there is a circulation of coolant or the gas. Now the gas itself is also circulated back from the top to a heat exchanger. In the heat exchanger, the heat available in the hot gas is rejected to the water which is coming from the steam condenser. The water is gaining the heat and it is converting into hot steam. The steam is expanded in the steam turbine, which can produce power output. So after expansion, the steam is condensed in the condenser and it is circulated back into the heat exchanger with the help of feed water pump. So after rejecting the heat, the gas is cooled and the cooled gas is once again supplied back to the reactor. Now from the top there is an arrangement for the control rods. Here the control rod is made of boron material. As we mentioned earlier, the depth of penetration of the control rod can control the chain reaction. If the control rod is deeply penetrated into the core, more amount of neutrons can be observed. So the chain reaction will slow down. So depending on load acting on the power plant, we can operate the position of control rod. And to reduce the leakage of radiation to the surroundings, we are providing a thick concrete radiation shielding here. And next, here the critical mass required is very large for the radioactive material. That means the minimum mass of the fuel required for the sustaining of chain reaction. So we have to load very large quantity of the fuel here. And one more thing is the charging of the fuel for gas cooled reactor is a difficult process. So we have to be very careful while starting the reactor itself. And we mentioned more quantity of more quantity of coolant is to be circulated, that is the gas. So definitely the machine will consume more amount of power also. We know that. Now for the gas cooled reactors, it is containing two designs. One is gas cooled but graphite moderator reactor. That means what we are observing in the diagram. Here the operating conditions are the fuel used is natural uranium, that means 0.7% of uranium-235 will be used. And coming to the coolant circulation, the operating conditions are nearly 7 bar pressure and temperature is 336 degrees Celsius. In the another design, we can see it is high temperature gas cooled reactor. The difference is, number one, usage of the fuel. We are using enriched fuel here. That means it will contain uranium oxide with 98%, and it also contains thorium carbide, which is cladded with graphite material on outer surface. The operating pressure and temperatures are very large, nearly 15 to 30 bar pressure and 700 to 800 degrees Celsius. Now we'll discuss one important aspect in nuclear reactors. It is based on the, or it is for the selection of a moderator, especially it is called multiplication factor. Here it is used to say whether the chain reaction can be sustained or it can be operated with some decreasing rate. Here we can see multiplication factor is given with a relation K equal to P by A plus C, where P indicates rate of production of neutrons, A presents combined rate of absorption of neutrons. Combined rate means here control rod is absorbing the neutrons, even moderator will slow down, but sometimes the moderators are also absorbing the neutrons. And next E represents rate of leakage of neutrons to the surroundings. If K is equal to 1, we can say that the chain reaction will continue. That means it is continuing at steady rate, which indicates that the reactor is operating under critical condition. If the rate of absorption of neutrons is very large, that means the chain reaction is building up. That means the rate of production of neutrons is very high, but the quantity of neutrons absorbed is decreasing gradually. So factor A is decreasing. In such a case, K will be greater than 1. In such a case, we can say the reactor is operating under supercritical condition. If the effective multiplication factor is very large, we have to take suitable precautions to bring back the multiplication factor to lower level. If the rate of absorption of neutrons is very large, that means A is increasing, then the rate of production. In such a case, the effective multiplication factor will become less than 1. That means the chain reaction rate is decreasing gradually. So if you want to get more amount of power, or if you want to increase the power produced, in such a case the multiplication factor is to be increased gradually. In such a case, we have to reduce the factor A. For that purpose, we can slightly lift off the control rod. So absorptivity of neutrons will decrease and effective multiplication factor will increase. That means it will give you more number of neutrons to participate in the chain reaction, so that it can sustain at steady rate. So while we are designing the nuclear reactor, we have to be careful about this multiplication factor. Coming to the merits of nuclear power plant, the space requirement is less when compared with conventional fuel power plants. For example, if it is a steam power plant, in such a case we need large space for the storage of the coal, and we need some pulverizing units, we need some waste heat recovery systems like air preheaters, and we need large amount of piping also for the supply of preheated air for preheating of the coal, or supplying preheated air to the combustion chamber as secondary air. And we need large quantity of water, that means the cooling canals, we need location for the arrangement of cooling towers and everything. But coming to the nuclear power plant, entire process is happening inside a closed vessel with openings for the circulation of coolant. So the place occupied by the nuclear power plant is less or reduced. Next, a nuclear power plant consumes very less quantity of fuel. If you take a gas turbine power plant, or if you take a steam turbine power plant, or even a diesel engine power plant, more amount of fuel is being consumed day by day. But here, once you load the fuel can be operated for large period of time. So if you want to replace it with some new fuel, it may take some months or years. And one more thing is the total transportation cost of the fuel is less, because we are not replacing it in a regular period of time, which is very short span of time. In general it is large, so transportation cost is less. And one more thing is it will conserve the fossil fuels. If you take a coal based power plant, the quantity of coal reserves are depleting at faster rate, but if you use nuclear power plant, usage of coal will decrease, so correspondingly the greenhouse emissions also reduces. Like that, it can provide certain advantages to the society. Next, the nuclear power plants are not affected by the adverse weather conditions. If you take a steam power plant, especially when it is operating on rainy season as well as in winter season, the coal pieces can absorb more amount of moisture, so difficulty will be faced in burning the coal. We have to supply high temperature air to remove the moisture from that, but here there is no such kind of problem. Next, nuclear power plants are well suited to meet large power demands. Here, as we are saying, depending on the control rod arrangement, we can either increase the rate of absorption of the neutrons, or we can decrease the absorption of rate of neutrons. So correspondingly the quantity of heat liberated will be varied, and the quantity of heat gained by the coolant also varied. So it can be recommended to produce very high load factors of nearly 80 to 90%. Next, coming to the material expenditure, one thing is here they are operating at certainly low pressures when compared with steam power plant. So obviously the turbine housing and other piping structures, they need very less thick equipment. Even if you take piping, the diameter can be reduced to some smaller value. So in that name, the expenditure can be lesser than a conventional coal based thermal power plant. Coming to the demerits, initial cost is very high, because the natural uranium which is obtained, it has to be suitably processed and it has to be enriched for certain nuclear reactors. After enrichment of the fuel, it is to be cladded with either zirconium alloy or aluminum or steel. Then it has to be carefully arranged to form bundles, and these bundles are to be transported to the reactors. So this entire process is a costly affair, and these are not well suited for varying load conditions. If there is a continuous fluctuation in the load, it will be difficult to control the rate of chain reaction continuously. That is also one problem. And the maintenance cost of plant is high. If there is a burnout of the fuel, we have to wait for 2 to 3 months in certain kind of nuclear reactors. We have seen that case also. So we have to be very careful. And one more thing is the operating personnel should have minimum knowledge about the operation of the reactor as well as the radiation which is coming out and how to control the chain reaction. So definitely they should be properly trained before assigning the work in the nuclear power plant. And radioactive wastes, if they are not properly disposed of, the problem is the radioactive material can have the half-life varying from fraction of seconds to some number of years also. In such a case, the radiation will spread in the environment, and that may change the material behavior, both physical as well as chemical. Even that can cause skin diseases to the human beings also. So we have to be very careful while disposing of nuclear power plant. Coming to the applications, here the radioactive material can be used for wide variety of testings in the industries. The methods followed are radiography as well as, here we can see Coming to the radiography, the X-rays or the gamma rays are produced from a radioactive material having lesser half-life, and suitable measures are taken such that the radiation coming out is not affecting the operator and the radiation is not affecting the environment also. For that purpose, the testing will be done in the closed location. Coming to major applications, we can see the position location, the first industrial application. In the industrial applications, we can see large piping networks. Some above the earth surface, some are below the earth surface also. So if you want to find if there are any pipes buried under the earth surface, you can locate them with the help of these rays. Next one is the flow pattern in the pipelines. If you want to know whether there is an obstruction in the flow or sudden increase of pressure inside the pipe, or if there is any leakage, even for such kind of identifications also we can use this. How means we can drop a small radioactive element into the pipe along with the working fluid. Once the working fluid flows through the pipe, this radioactive element also flows, and when there is a leakage, there we can see the radiation is coming out. With the help of radiation sensors, we can identify so there is a leakage at the particular location. In that way it can be used. Next one is groundwater path. What is the pattern of groundwater, in which direction it is flowing, at what depth it is flowing? Such kind of information we get from radioactive materials. And one more thing is radiography fault detection. It can be used in the industries for checking the performance of different processes. For example, here we can see there are two pipes. In between them we are having a flow control valve. You are interested to find whether the valve is in good operating condition, or when or where there is a crack in the pipeline, or even though the valve is being completely opened or partially opened, if the discharge is not being varied, we can use this radiography technique by passing the rays through the component. So based on the film you are getting there, you can see where is the problem, what it is. Based on that you can take some suitable measures. Even it is used for mechanical testing also. For example, here we can see some weld beds, and when they are tested using radiography method, we can see different types of welding defects. Here we can see on the weld bed there are two cracks which are produced, 1 and 2, and even we can see small holes which are produced on the weld bed. That means porosity is generated. Next we can see there is an inclusion of the slag, these black color lines, 1 and here there is 2, like that. And even we can see there is an inclusion of metals also apart from the slag. These white color spots on the weld bed indicates inclusions. Here they mentioned that it is tungsten. I have taken these images from the internet released by a company. Like this, we can use the radiation which is coming out of radioactive material for testing the performance of either processes or even in fabrication techniques also. Like this, we can use radioactive materials. With this, I stop this lecture. We will meet in next lecture with economics of power plant.